Welcome, YouTube friends and family, to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So, Happy New Year! Welcome to 2023. So, I want to start this video out by making a correction to something that I've said over and over and over and over again in my end of year videos, and that is that 2022 was not a good year for me. And you know, y'all, it's all perspective. So I was able to, and it's not about me really, but I was able to build the chicken coop, the run, which has now been replaced, get the chickens, which was a long-term goal for me. I expanded my garden. My mother, who was wholly unsafe at home, is now in a place where I don't have to worry 24/7. The Lord sent a buyer for the house. I was able to get everything auctioned off. I met all the deadlines, and I was able to function well enough, because my function does vary, y'all have seen it, to get it all done. So instead of me saying that 2022 was, say it with me, 2022 was a blessing. All right. So what are we going to do today? Well, y'all, get ready to laugh. First of all, I'm wearing it's a very old shirt, but I'm wearing one of my favorite shirts, and it says, "Support wildlife, raise boys." My son is a very quiet. He did not want to do a video on Christmas, and I was totally fine with that. He's a very quiet, well-mannered, polite young man, but he was wildlife growing up. So it is truly one of my favorite shirts. But I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh no, it was day one yesterday of our pound pantry challenge, or a no spend January challenge, or low spend year challenge. And I blew it because I bought something big. Wait, what did I buy? Wait, I dreamed that. So when you start dreaming about the pantry challenge, that's pretty sad, isn't it? So I thought I would bring you a couple simple things that you might consider doing in preparation for a low spend January, a partial pantry challenge. And one of the things I know that I'm going to crave is greens. Yes, you can eat canned green beans and canned spinach that you have on your shelf, and frozen veg that you have in your freezer. But there's just something about that fresh spring type taste that I really enjoy. So, y'all, I have two sprouting things. One, and I can try to link this, but I don't even know if it's made anymore. I got this way back when, the Homestead box. It's been years. It's probably been 3 or 4 years ago. And basically what it is it's sprouting tray with a drain, and it also has drains, if you can see that, around the edges, and then a water collection tray that holds it up out of the water. So basically when you're sprouting either a grain, or as some people like to call it, a berry, you need to fully soak them first, and then secondarily you need to rinse them twice a day, but keep them out of the water. The second setup that I have, and this one, y'all, I'm just gonna be honest, never used it. I'll check and see if you can still get it on Amazon, is the upside down jar trick. Now, I have seen at Walmart the sprouting lids, and y'all, I'm not trying to get you to go buy something, but you might be able to come up with something that works for you. So basically this premise is you put your seeds in the jar, you cover them with water. So you soak them, I'm a little goofy this morning, 6 to 8 hours. Then you drain them completely. And then this little device, if you will, it has a drain tray, although I'm sure Frankie would love to drink the water, that cat and water. But it holds the jars at an angle. It also comes, I have never used these guys, with darkening covers. So sprouts do the best in a dusky situation. I don't think they need to be completely black. There's people on both sides of the fence on that. You can use them if you want. I've never used them. When you think about a seed germinating, it is in the dark because it's got the husk or the shell of the seed before it pops open. So I have a few kinds of seeds left over. Because you can sprout almost any type of seed. So you can do like beans that you would have on your shelf, like dry beans. You can do those. Those are super good. You can do mung beans. I want to make a caution for you all. So when I first got into sprouting, y'all, I had an epic fail. And it's one of those like esoteric pieces of knowledge that I didn't have. And I've been a nurse for 42 years now. We'll be 43 this year. No, it'll be, okay, well, anyway. It'll be 42 this year. Okay, anyway, good grief. I like alfalfa sprouts. They're very healthy. They're very tasty, in my opinion. And I was eating a lot of them. And I was getting sicker and sicker and sicker with my autoimmune disease of systemic lupus. So here's your word of caution. Never, ever, with any rheumatologist, any specialist I've ever seen, did they tell me don't eat alfalfa. Because it's not like you go to the store necessarily and be like, I need 5 pounds of alfalfa, right? Alfalfa contains an enzyme, we'll call it, that can make inflammatory autoimmune diseases worse. So before you ever consume alfalfa, y'all, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, if you have lupus, if you have any kind of thing along the autoimmune spectrum, check with your physician before you consume them, because it took me forever to figure it out in a food diary. All right, that's enough of that. Y'all, I've taken down all my Christmas decorations, and I noticed I got something in there wrong. My cabinet's not shut, but that's okay. All right, so what kind of seeds do I happen to have on hand? Now, I have had these stored. I'm not sure how successful this is going to be. I may have to go to fresher seeds. Germination rate may be pretty low on these because they are older, but they've been stored in Mylar sealed bags. So I have organic buckwheat, and these came from Mountain Valley Seed Company. Detroit dark red beet. That one doesn't say organic, that's fine. My favorite peas, dun peas. And then I have from True Leaf Market certified organic black oil sunflower seeds. Now, if these won't germinate, I can feed those seeds to the chickens, the birds, whatsoever, because there's a lot of them in there. I have sprouted the first whole bag of them because I think I had like 3 bags, and they sprouted beautifully. So let's get started here. I am going to do peas and beets. So let me clear up this huge mess. Oh, y'all pardon my groaning and moaning. I love filming in the morning, but that's when I'm the stiffest, so y'all just have to excuse. Okay, we're gonna go dark. Woo! And we're gonna go light. So, these are clean jars. Whoopsie. So basically it's just a screen with like a metal thingy around it, right? So we're gonna soak these for 6 to 8 hours. So before I go to bed tonight, I can start the drain and rinse process. Pardon me. So an easy way to keep the cadence, let me show you these. Yeah. So these are the beet seeds, is to just do it when you get up, do it when you go to bed. Now I'm not gonna overfill, that's probably 2 tablespoons, because here's something, guys, they will mold. So you need to maybe do them in small batches and refrigerate with maybe just a damp paper towel. And let me show you, that's what, I'm doing a really poor job, guys. That's what the peas look like. All right. And yep, I still have my Christmas nail polish strips on. I'll get to that. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. All right. So I'm going to put these in my short-term pantry. And let's go ahead and fill them up with water. Now, not all of the seeds, I'm sorry, will, don't look at my dishes, y'all. I always feel good when I see jars. I had a little bit of soup left over yesterday, and it was like, that's not going to be enough. And so I put some pasta in it, and oh my word, it was really, really good. All right, so there you go. They're covered. And I'm just going to leave those. How simple is that, right? All right, let me do some repositioning here. Sorry, guys. The kitchen is like the size of a Kleenex. And we are going to make a new kind of bread. So as I was thinking through like what might be helpful, because a lot of you are going to join in the low spend year. Hopefully you won't have nightmares that you blew it on day one like I did. But I thought, you know, a lot of us have bread machines, and a lot of us are looking for like a simple go-to daily bread that we can have. I have my favorite. I've made it, I think, twice on the channel, the maple buttermilk bread. It's always a winner. It's a great bread for gifting. I will try to link the bread playlist for you at the end. Okay, so here we have my zojirushi. I will link it below. But guys, this is such a simple recipe. So what does it call for? A cup of water. Now let's say you don't have bread machine, because I've got to talk about all possibilities, right? So you would make this bread like you would any other homemade bread where you're using your mixer and your oven with 2 rises. That's the easiest way I know how to explain it. The zojirushi has a preheat function, so it's going to heat this water to the perfect temperature to help activate the yeast, so I don't need to worry about that. One of my eggs from my girly girls, and guys, I have to tell you, they're doing great, except that everything is so wet. I feel so bad for them. It's just so wet out there. They are definitely not averse to getting wet. We're supposed to have a lot of rain. I'm just breaking up that yolk a little bit. I should have done it before I put it in there. They're totally fine with getting wet. It's extremely warm. It's been in the 50s. We're supposed to be 63 by Tuesday. Welcome to January in Ohio, right? All right, to this. Oh, and what I was going to tell you about the chickens. Oh, guys. Sorry about my absent-mindedness. They are laying well. Now, I've been tracking my daily egg production, and I'm not going to tell you, oh, it hasn't gone down at all. It has gone down significantly. However, I got 4 eggs one day in the past week and 3 eggs yesterday. And I go out and talk to them, and trust me, they are well fed. Oops, turn the spoon the right way. Okay, we're looking for 3 cups of bread flour. One thing I have learned about best ever breads is if you spoon your flour into the cup rather than scooping, you won't compact it. The other option is to weigh it out. Guys, I'm not doing that today. So there's 1 cup, and it's such a habit for me to scoop that I really have a hard time just spooning. Another thing, if any of you do have a zojirushi bread machine and you're having trouble with an uneven loaf, add about a tablespoon of water above what the recipe calls for, and it definitely helps. I'm still having some issues with unevenness, but it all tastes delicious and I'm not worried about it. So, all right, this will be our third cup. The other thing I will be doing in some upcoming videos is grinding my own grain. I am trying to get through some of my pre-ground flours first because I do have my grain stored in Seal 35-pound buckets. Good grief. All right. Next ingredient is a tablespoon of sugar. Let me grab that. Okay, y'all, I've added my tablespoon of sugar. One of the things I did want to tell you is if you're not a fan of utilizing table sugar, you can use like maple syrup or honey. You do need the sweetener in a very small amount to help with browning and texture. I forgot totally to tell you what we're even making. And it's called Fransk broad. I'm probably saying that totally wrong, and that's fine. It's the most prevalent white bread in all of Scandinavia. It translates to French bread, but it contains an egg, so technically it's not a true lean bread by French baking standards. The combination of egg and water makes for a chewy loaf. Serve this bread with dinner. So I'm thinking it's going to be a hearty bread. Just checking some measurements here. All right. So that's a good thing. Now, if you're doing this bread recipe, I am going to even out a little bit, in the mixer, you may not need to add your vital wheat gluten. It is important, in my opinion, to add it in bread machine recipes. So we need a tablespoon. Okay, that was a good save. Well, I love my bread making book, but it's like a nightmare to keep the thing open. It's so fat. All right, so we'll do a tablespoon of gluten. And then we are going to add some salt. Now, it calls for 1 1/4 teaspoons. Y'all, as a hypertensive person, I worry about salt. And I'm not a heavy salter. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you totally know that. However, you can't, well, you can omit the salt from bread, but what will happen is it's absolutely tasteless. I've tried it. Ask me how I know. All right. So I am using pink Himalayan salt. You may notice I'm putting it at the edges because sometimes salt can inhibit the function of yeast. Most bread machines are tuned, if you will, so that if you put the salt in the corners, it's not going to affect the yeast. So let me grab the yeast out of the freezer. That's sealed somehow. All right, so how much yeast do we need? We need 2 teaspoons of SAF, or 2 1/2 of bread machine yeast. So I'm going to use SAF. My word, I'm having trouble this morning, y'all. You know what, though? That's the reality. And I like to put my yeast right in the very center. You may be tempted to over yeast your bread. Generally what happens, ask me how I know, is that your bread ends up over rising and then falling. So don't do that. Okay, so let's crank this thing in. And it says, set crust on medium, program for basic or French. Now, I don't know, do I have French? Okay, I'll clean that up in a minute. I knew that was gonna happen. So we're just gonna do white. Let's see. And crust control is on, glad I checked that, medium. and press start. Now my bread machine will tell me that it'll all be done in about 3 hours and 20 minutes. Why do you never spill the beans when it's needing to be filled? I'm sure y'all can hear them hitting the floor. Just pretend that's not happening. Keeping it real in 2023. Okay, that's a little better. Oh, that smells really good. I will say that much. All right. So, in about 3 hours and 20 minutes, I'm going to have a fresh loaf of bread. I will not, however, have sprouts. I am going to get this light off of my sprouts, but it really doesn't matter. Ooh, still not a coffee bean. In the soaking phase as much about the light. So I'm going to bring you back to let you know how this tastes. I'm going to talk just briefly, just really briefly, y'all, about some ideas that you might want to consider for your pantry challenge for January. Some things that you may not have thought about trying that I haven't already suggested. All right, stay tuned. All right, are y'all up for some money-saving tips? I've had kind of an epiphany sort of day. I spent a lot of the day yesterday, and I will link the channel, watching a new channel, I'm gonna tell y'all about it here in just a moment, that has totally shifted my viewpoint of how I utilize resources in general. Now, before I start, because somebody's gonna say something, I thought you said your Christmas decor was down. Ooh, I pointed first try. Y'all, I used the box that I normally store this in to start putting a thrift store donation in, and now I can't find a suitable box. So I need to just do some readjusting. But this thing is so pretty, I might leave it out all year round as like, you know, like an odd focal piece, because I'm pretty odd, right? The bulbs in it are like a teal blue. It matches my blue perfectly. So anyway, back at what I was going to talk about. So let me first give you some ideas. Then I'm going to share with you a little bit about the new channel that I'm watching. She does not need me to promote her. She will have no clue who I am, just saying. But it's fine for you to say, hey, Kim from the Wellness Homesteader sent you. And it may not be what everybody wants to watch. All right. So seed sprouting, I wanted to kind of go back to that. So what do you use the sprouts for? Do you make like a sprout salad? Actually, that's quite tasty if you have a lot on hand. It's great on salads. On salads, on sandwiches. That's what I was trying to say. Even if you want to cook a hot dish, and then the sprouts will wilt, but you know, top it like your scrambled eggs, that type of thing. They are so nutritionally dense in the sprout form. That's why I love having sprouts. Now, I talk a lot about Homestead Tessie, and so many of you I found out came over from Homestead Tessie, which I knew plenty of you probably did, but you know, she has sprouted stuff for years. I don't think I've ever done a video on sprouts. If I do, I don't remember. So a lot of good information on her channel as well. And I know she does it in the winter, although she's got a lot of greenhouse type things so she can grow. I had a beautiful spread of spinach growing in my veggie pod, which promptly died when it was 20 some below. Sorry guys, that's just the bread machine over there. All right, so maybe you're like, okay, well, I have a jar, I can put a piece of screen over it, I can kind of do this, but I don't have any seeds and I don't want to buy them. Y'all, if you're like me and you have a seed stash, my name is Kim, I have a seed habit, you can sprout seeds that maybe you did not like the taste of the full-on veg, or they just didn't grow well in your climate. So don't forget about that as a source to be resourceful. You know, I think one of the biggest benefits, y'all, of being mindful of your spending, of trying to do a pantry challenge or a no spend or low spend month, year, whatever, is you become acutely aware of everything you're using and how to stretch it, and it makes you a lot more creative. All right, second idea. I have to give a shout out, y'all, this video is gonna be full of shout outs to Rose Red Homestead, because I gotta go back and watch it again and write some things down. She did a whole video on using I'll say ancient grains for a breakfast cereal or a savory bowl kind of thing. She had a lot of great ideas. And I happened to think, what I would say is go back to your childhood favorites. One of my absolute favorite things is cream of wheat. Now, I bought this, oh Lord, I probably couldn't find an expiration date or a Best By date. Okay, wait, it's right on the top because it's not marked in magic marker. Okay, so this is good through 4 of 2023. But I'm gonna start having some of that because it is one of my favorite breakfast meals. I like hot cereal during the winter. Another childhood favorite, and I think I might have mentioned this, and I'm pretty sure I've made these on the channel as well. I do buy, when it's affordable, the Great Value Alaskan pink salmon. Guys, I have a freezer full of salmon. Literally, when I did my pantry inventory, I was shocked how much fish I had. So I'm fishing it twice a week, but I decided to go ahead and make one of my favorites because I've never used whole fillets to make the salmon cakes. So today, on my menu plan, I'm having salmon cakes, and then y'all might remember when I was overloaded with obo macaroni. Y'all, this is Best By date of 2019. If it's no good, I have some. I mean, if it tastes stale, I'm not going to eat food that is blatantly bad. A pantry challenge is not about deprivation. It's about identifying what you and your family love and trying to put your resources there. So I love macaroni and not cheese, macaroni and tomatoes. So I'm going to have that for my dinner. So here's breakfast, here's my dinner, and then guys, I snack for supper or late day meal. That's just how I eat. It's not right or wrong. It's just kind of what I've grown accustomed to. I do a lot of like cheese and crackers or toasted cheese, that kind of simple thing. I'm not a huge meat eater, so this is plenty. I also want to challenge you to find your oldest food and be creative. And I want you to drop me a comment below on what you decided to make, because y'all, my son, when he was here, I got out the hot sauce because we put hot sauce on everything. And I have probably 6 kinds of hot sauce in the fridge. So I got out sriracha because that's a good hot sauce that doesn't blow you up or impair your taste, and it's really good in the special occasion casserole from Miss Gay over at Apron Strings. It was a big hit with Ben. Anyway, he was like, Mom, no, what is wrong with the sriracha? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he was like, Mom, I think that's, guys, I'm so embarrassed. I think that is like past its prime. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. Guys, it expired in 2014. I kid you not. I have no idea. It probably got shoved to the back of the fridge and then brought back forward and then shoved back. And I'm like, hot sauce good forever, right? Well, he threw it away, needless to say. But I have like 5 other kinds of hot sauce. But I want you to go and look at some of your oldest food that you have. If you have a long-term pantry or freezer, things that are still edible and safe to eat. So I just pulled out a couple things, guys. French green beans that expired, or Best By 8/2022, and yams, Best By 9/22. Now these are in heavy syrup, but you can make like a sweet potato souffle out of it. You can rinse it to get some of the sugar off and not use the syrup. So I've avoided it because I normally don't buy anything, even fruit, in heavy syrup, but I'm sure they're yum. So that is an idea for you. Also, guys, focus on the positive. You're going to save time. It is a 40-minute round trip for me to go to the grocery. That's not so bad, really. The joke is everything's an hour from Cedarville, but that's 40 minutes of my life I could never get back, plus the time you spend looking for things, consulting your list, making your list, filling your cart, and then waiting in line to check yourself out because Walmart apparently thinks we all work for them. or you go to Aldi, either or. And Aldi's lines are always long in my area. You're going to be buying and cooking and using going forward with the lessons you learn, what your family loves, what you love to eat. You know, I think after watching Rose Red Homestead, I think I have some opportunity for cracking my wheat berries. I'm just not quite sure how to do that. And cooking those and doing some ancient grain bowls. Guys, I have every kind of grain, bean, seed you can imagine in my long-term pantry. It also will help me with my garden planning. So one of the things, and I've shared this before, I miss greens. Like, I like salads. I eat salads all summer. I miss having that. So I'm going to look at some ways that I might be able to preserve some greens. I hate kale. I am not growing kale. But maybe I just grow a lot more green beans because I love some green beans as well. It also is going to help us decrease waste. I can't tell you, after watching the channel I'm about to share with you, how differently I look at waste in general. Think of it as being kind of on an episode of Chopped. Now, if all you have in your pantry is pickles and Tic Tacs, it's probably not going to be a success. But I think most of us keep at least a reasonable pantry. So think about different combinations of foods that you could use that maybe you've never tried that might become a new personal or family favorite. Now, you're not going to believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this. Y'all, it's okay to take a night off. It's okay. Let's say you get to day 23, arbitrarily picked, and you are so weary of this whole pantry challenge that you want to go through a drive-through or whatever. It's okay. It's really okay. This is about decreasing your waste, about making good use of your resources. It is not about total deprivation. My son's birthday happens to fall this month. My baby will be 38. If his dad wants, they're big on going out to eat. If they want to go out to eat during the month of January, I'm going to break my no spend January and year, my low spend year, to celebrate a very special life occasion. It's okay, guys. And if I haven't said that clearly, I want to say that clearly. So are you ready for the channel? It's going to be a couple hours before we have bread that I can taste and tell you what my thought is. I will leave a link in the description box. It is all one word, REGRETLYSS, but it's spelled regret, L-Y-S-S. Her name is Alyssa. She has been doing a nomadic life. She's had a lot of trauma in her childhood, and she did a schoolie, which is like a short bus. I think she's on her, well, I know she's on her second one, but basically just went place to place to place to place. I have gone back and I've been binge watching. Yes, I do sometimes binge watch. But as I've watched what went into the build, her gray water tank, her clean water tank, how she's going to heat, how she's going to cook, how she's going to allocate space, I've really realized what a rich life I have, because I give not a thought, just to be honest, about flush. I'm not wasteful on water, but I don't worry about flushing the toilet, and I like my hot Epsom salts baths in the morning because it helps loosen me up. But what if? What if our resources were limited? How can I still live a rich and fulfilling life, and I believe I can, and decrease a lot of waste, guys? And it goes from everything from letting the water run while you brush your teeth, which I've never done, to how much laundry soap you're using, how much shampoo you're using. And if y'all are wondering what on earth is wrong with your hair, I put it up wet. Not because I'm saving on electric, but I will tell you something. I got my gas bill, I think on the 31st. Yeah, Saturday. And it went up from 68 to 117. Now, we had a power outage. My gas generator ran. We also had those bitterly, bitterly cold temperatures. It was a 32-day cycle. However, y'all, there are ways I can decrease my use of certain utilities. So I hope you will check out her channel. She just, spoiler alert, she just finally, after 5 years on the road, bought herself the most charming homestead, and now she's going to be building that out. It doesn't mean she won't be on the road anymore. I hate to bring this up, but if you all remember the Gabby Petito thing, that's kind of what Gabby was doing. There's like a whole nomad culture that just goes around and enjoys life, basically. I don't want to do that, but I find her very insightful and inspiring, so I hope that will help you out. So I will see you all in a couple hours once my bread has finished. I want to try it, let you know what my thoughts are. I am searching for the perfect daily bread, so to speak. So I will let you know what I think. I will see you all in a couple hours. Let's finish up this bread, shall we? So, in full disclosure, I still have a high end. I don't know what's causing that. I even went on like Reddit and tried to find a reason. So, and at any rate, I am super tickled with this bread, guys. It's not overly brown, but if you can hear, it's fully done. So it's still warm, but let's give it a cut. Take a look at the crumb. Ooh, nice. So just a nice, beautiful bread. And I'm going to try a bite. It does have a good chew. Y'all, I think this is a winner. One of the things I liked about the recipe, just to give you an idea why I chose this, pardon me, is it doesn't have a lot of fancy extra ingredients. So maple syrup is expensive. I've done a pantry inventory. I cannot make a loaf. This is a 1.5 pound loaf. I cannot do that, pardon me, every single week and not run out of maple syrup. And I'm trying not to do some bigger expenditures. I have plenty of table sugar, and it's only a tablespoon, right? So I think this one is really, really good. Let me see if I have any final taste thoughts for you. I love the crust. Y'all, I think this would be very satisfying to feed youngsters that are growing, that will eat you out of house and home. I can see why they said dinner bread. It's a little richer, not as light. I mean, it still has a really good chew, but it's not light and fluffy and airy. Like you're not getting any substance from it. So a definite winner. I will see you all on Thursday, Lord willing. Let me tell y'all, I'm headed out now to see my mom. It's going on 10 o'clock for a short visit. This will be my last visit for a 2-week period. I've never gone that long without seeing mom in at least 12 years, maybe longer. But I'm going to follow the recommendations of the facility since mom will be moving into memory care. Now, that doesn't mean mom won't suddenly have an epiphany and start blowing up my phone. Mom's kind of forgotten how to use the cell phone. But I want mom to adjust well. They have more experience with this than I do. So I'm going to trust their judgment. If things get sideways and I have to go and I can't get a video up for Thursday, I know y'all will understand, but I'll be back as always. I hope today has been helpful. Don't forget to leave that comment. What's the oldest thing that you found in your pantry inventory? I think I'm going to be the winner at 2014, but at any rate. And what other dishes are you going to bring back from your childhood that you've forgotten about? I will see you all a little bit later this week. Until then, do me a favor, smash that like button, share my video. Guys, we have a bunch of new subscribers. Welcome to all of you. I always forget to say that. I'm so glad you're here. And until I see you again, be healthy, be well, be blessed. Take care.